Hello Kabirians, welcome to the new season of 2024 videos. It's a pleasure to start this year by sharing with you the magic that is experienced in the heart of Africa. Today, we present to you a wonderful story about Timket, the Ethiopian Epiphany. We would like to accurately describe the great emotional and spiritual impact that can be experienced during these magnificent dates, which are undoubtedly a true journey through time. Through video, sound, and words, we have done our best. But the reality is that we will always recommend you to come and experience it for yourselves to fully understand what technology can never capture and convey to the soul. Timket is an extraordinary celebration in Ethiopia and Eritrea that commemorates the Epiphany, the baptism of Christ by John the Baptist in the Jordan River. The celebration begins with the Katara festival and culminates with that of Saint Michael the Archangel, forming a significant festive period in the country. The Katara festival marks the beginning of the preparation for Timket, which means containment of water. During this time, the faithful participate in religious rituals, prayers, and acts of devotion, anticipating the arrival of the main celebration. In ancient times, temporary dams were built in the rivers of the cities, or some ponds were filled in order to celebrate Timket. This day begins its magic when the Tabot, which is the representation of the tablets containing the 10 Commandments, and is sacredly guarded in every Orthodox church, goes out in procession to a meeting point, usually a body of water. We could fill this video with technical details about the rituals, symbolism, and chants, and even about the strict fasting that the faithful voluntarily undergo weeks before to prepare for the celebration. But the reality is that the images speak for themselves. The Ethiopians' faith in God, the respect they have for relics, and their traditions are something that leaves you speechless. When you quantify the amount of resources that are voluntarily and gladly given with all their hearts for this day, there is no doubt about the power that this society has when working together. Every minute detail appreciated during the ceremony has symbolism without exception. Ethiopia is a land where time does not function in the same way as the rest of the world. Even though we live in the 21st century, here we can go back in time and relive biblical scenes from over 2,000 years ago, just as they have been described in sacred texts. From the procession covering the Tabot with precious fabrics, avoiding touching the ground until being received in a white tent where rituals in honor of the Creator are celebrated. Socially, Ethiopians, in addition to preparing with strict fasting and prayer where they avoid all animal origin foods, dress in their best and elegant clothes to receive the Word of God on earth and the blessing of baptism. The peace, the level of tolerance between cultures and religions, the magic of the coexistence of generations, and the unity experienced on this day are a miracle in itself. While the Orthodox celebrate, the Muslims, who continue their normal routine, also participate in the social dynamics by selling to the faithful everything they may need while appreciating the procession, such as water, food, clothes, and coffee. The more than 80 cultures of the country come together today in the main cities in unison and peacefully coexist in the language of faith. A melting pot of cultures, hairstyles, foods, and languages intertwine in the murmur of the capital Addis Ababa, reminding us that we are all children of the same God. All the Orthodox churches in the country make the procession of their Tabot to an agreed place where it will spend the night vigil. The largest congregation in the capital is in Yen Meadow, where the largest number of Tabots gather. In ancient times, all the churches in the city came to this site. Today, due to the country's demographic explosion, the church has divided the centers into different points throughout the capital. Despite this, the gigantic number of faithful who come to celebrate remains impressive. At night, the Tabot resides inside the specially prepared tent while the faithful gather in the esplanade to pray and watch over the relic. These are prayers and chants that echo throughout the capital like an endless and hypnotic echo. Families prepare food, water, tea, and coffee to share with others during the night. The respect and seriousness felt during the evening is something that touches the heart of anyone who has the opportunity to experience it. The next morning, the Tabot, which for this ceremony represents Christ, rises and prepares for its return journey to the church. But before that, the water is blessed, and in the midst of a series of ancestral prayers and chants, the miracle is performed. The collective baptism is celebrated where the faithful renew their vows and people, in immense joy, cleanse their hearts of old grudges to reunite with their brothers and sisters. The Timket celebration reaches its peak during the baptism ceremony, which represents the baptism of Jesus in the Jordan River. Even after the ecstasy of the great celebration, wonders and surprises continue to appear every minute. Once the departure of the Tabot is announced, a bed of grass is set up on which the red carpet is placed, which is swept and cleaned to receive the Tabot. The force of the drums and trumpets announces the passage of the procession, just as it was described in the Bible in the fall of Jericho, emitting an energy that is literally felt to the bones. We wanted to capture the sound as best as possible, but there is no equipment in the world that can accurately record the energy felt at the impact of the drums and trumpets, a sound that will literally make your heart vibrate. The coordination of the faithful participating in the event is as great as any army, and as if that were not enough, the faith of the Ethiopian people is such that despite the division of powers, the soldiers and police officers participating in the security of the event show their respects. Who am I without a God? What land should I care for if it is not the one that God has given me? Is the response you get when you ask the agents about their reaction to seeing the Tabot pass by them. In a procession brimming with songs and prayers, the Tabot returns to the church from which it came, with the difference that it does not return by the same path by which it arrived. Mysticism and symbolism are already part of Ethiopia's cultural genetics. Tradition says that the houses and people who attend the procession are blessed by incense and the Tabot. By changing the route, more faithful can receive the grace of this festivity. The procession continues until it reaches the church in a procession equal to or greater than that of the previous day. The faithful come not only to pay their respects to the ark but also to participate in its care until it safely arrives at the church. The city is filled with incense, houses are filled with delicacies, and it is celebrated with honey wine. During the night, many faithful return to the same place where the Tabot spent the night to pray and share, making a vigil to welcome Saint Michael the Archangel the next day. The feast of Saint Michael the Archangel, celebrated the day after Timket, adds another layer of spirituality and magic to this festive period. Saint Michael the Archangel is venerated as a celestial protector, the one who fights and drives away all evil in the world, in the country, and in the lives of the faithful, and his festival is celebrated with fervor and joy. His faithful are very passionate, being a day just for him, all the congregations gather in the same place for the grand event. The streets of Addis Ababa turn into authentic white rivers in a few minutes. Thousands and thousands of people in their elegant traditional clothes flock to the procession meeting point. The energy emitted seems to come from a volcano. The prayers are a collective meditation that hypnotizes. The joy, the faith, the courage that people transmit during the wake for the procession make time alter in its perception. Hours can pass as if they had been just a few minutes. The strength of the Ethiopians makes them appear as true descendants of giants. Here you see elderly people who pilgrimage walking and enjoy the event for hours without showing signs of fatigue. Mothers who carry their babies on their backs as if they were just a small sack of feathers. Young people who carry carpets on their arms throughout the procession route in a city that has highly mountainous relief and an altitude of over 2,000 meters above sea level. All this makes any Olympic athlete appear small. Ethiopia is full of symbolism but also of miracles everywhere. The festival not only has a profound spiritual meaning but also reflects Ethiopia's rich cultural heritage. Music and dance play a prominent role during Timket, infusing vitality and joy into the celebration. Food, drinks, the range of cultures that coexist strengthen social and family ties. The inclusivity transmitted throughout the event, the details so carefully respected in the ceremonies, the chants, the prayers make Timket a unique festival in the world and a true heritage of humanity. In summary, Timket in Ethiopia, from the Katara festival to that of Saint Michael the Archangel, is a period of intense spirituality and cultural celebration. This unique festival illustrates the deep connection between religious faith and Ethiopian cultural identity, creating an experience that captivates both locals and visitors. An interesting historical fact that our uncle shared is that in ancient Ethiopian wars, the Tabot also walked at the head of the armies, just like the king and the generals. The Ethiopians have always fought and struggled for their faith. There is no greater king in the minds and hearts of the Abyssinians than God. At the end of this celebration, and seeing the amount of people, resources, and energy that are voluntarily and with such devotion and pleasure given to this event, I have no doubt that the history books have always been wrong. The West, with its material and rational vision of the universe, has never understood the true reasons behind the historical and cultural events of this part of the world. Europe never understood how Ethiopia could maintain its independence despite technological disadvantage in the 19th century. However, if one day you decide to come and experience it, you will be able to understand and even participate in the great power that this land emanates towards the world, and how the phrase, "faith moves mountains," is embodied here in action. As always, it is a great pleasure, an honor, and a joy to share our culture with you. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel and give us a thumbs up. If you want to know Ethiopia, don't hesitate to contact us through our social networks. Thank you very much and see you in the next video. Then Jesus came from Galilee to John at the Jordan to be baptized by him. But John tried to prevent him, saying, "I need to be baptized by you, and are you coming to me?" But Jesus answered and said to him, "Permit it to be so now, for thus it is fitting for us to fulfill all righteousness." Then he allowed him. When he had been baptized, Jesus came up immediately from the water, and behold, the heavens were opened to him, and he saw the Spirit of God descending like a dove and alighting upon him. And suddenly a voice came from heaven, saying, "This is my beloved Son, in whom I am well pleased." Matthew 3 verse 13.